It's a delight to welcome you onto this episode of your informative and educative program, NAFDAC in Your Health. The program that gives insight into the regulatory activities of NAFDAC, the agency charged with the responsibility of safeguarding the health of Nigerians. I am Opejemi Urimolade. This episode of NAFDAC in Your Health is a sequel to the previous episode where the spotlight was on pesticide residue, what pesticides are, and how their improper use leads to pesticide residue, which makes farm produce harmful to human health. We also dwelt on how this is causing export reject and by extension, image damage and economic setback to the country. This episode will go further to look at steps to be taken to avoid pesticide residue in farm produce, the process of getting products meant for export to pass through NAFDAC, testing procedures and the timeline to have the produce tested by NAFDAC. This episode will also talk about export guidelines and how to access them. The issue of export reject is one that is detrimental to the image of a country like Nigeria. This is apart from the economic loss and the damaging effect on the businesses of individual farmers and exporters. This is why the NAFDAC Director General ensures that the issue is not handled with levity, as she ensures that the agency gears frantic regulatory efforts towards putting a stop to the worrisome challenge. The DG also ensures that sensitization and enlightenment are employed so that exporters can understand the significance of making their goods meant for export to pass through NAFDAC testing.
I'm making this appeal. If you are exporting anything outside the country, you must come to NAFDAC. First, to ensure that your products will not be rejected, because there is at least 60 to 70% probability that your product will be rejected, and there is no negotiation outside Nigeria. They test in the lab. If it fails, it fails. No compromise at all. Just like we do not compromise. If it fails in our lab, it fails also. It's going outside the country, and we want to represent the country very well. So for the case of the paraquat on sesame seed that was rejected in another country, is an unfortunate incident, and it's typical of other products that didn't come to us, that failed. So we are working assiduously with NEPC to do all sorts of, make all sorts of efforts to sensitize our people that they must always come to NAFDAC to make sure that their products will be safe. But in terms of what NAFDAC is doing with paraquat, it's not just paraquat. We banned other herbicides that we know that are not good for the health of our people, and we'll continue to monitor the market to make sure that the paraquat is completely out of reach. Different countries have different standards, and that is the more reason why exporters must come to NAFDAC. Exporters may not know what Europe wants, or what America wants, or what Asia wants. It is us that know. And we educate. The Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate interacts with exporters to ensure that they are well informed. But if they do not come to NAFDAC, they may think that, oh, it is okay for this country, let's just export it out. So that is part of the Codex Alimentarius standards, where what is acceptable for another country may not be acceptable for a different country. So coming to NAFDAC will solve all the problems, and it is simple, very simple in terms of export. Maximum, I believe, 21 days or 20 days to process your export. And that is if we have already inspected the site. If we have inspected the site for good hygiene practices, or if the product has already been approved, registered by NAFDAC, it takes even much shorter time. So I encourage all our exporters to make Nigeria proud by coming to NAFDAC.
The directors in charge of laboratory services, food and chemical explain ways farmers can avoid pesticide residue in their harvest so that their produce will not experience export reject.
One, what they need to know first is that they need to know the market requirements where those products are going. And what are the things that you need to know about those destination market? One is that different countries have different standards. Like the US, UE, UK, they have strict maximum residue level that these products must not contain. If it is above those levels, certainly those products will be rejected. So if you are not familiar with the standard requirement of your destination country, then those products may fall outside the specifications. Two, you need to familiarize yourself with different countries. Apart from the global standards, different countries still have approved pesticides. If you are not familiar with what is approved, what is not approved in your destination country, then you may probably have a problem. It may be approved in your own country, but at the other hand, it may not be approved. So you have to familiarize yourself with those pesticides that are approved. Also, pesticide residue, there are some that are product specific. The pesticide residue that is or limit that is approved for a particular product may not be approved. The limit may not be the same for the other product. So you have to familiarize yourself with that. Also, there are some document requirements that you need to put in place. And for you to, for example, you need certificate of analysis of your product. If you don't analyze your product and you take it to the where you are exporting it to, then there may be a problem. Also, you have to know the potential or the capacity of the testing lab, because some lab may not have the capacity to test those requirements to the level of the pesticide of the maximum residue that is allowed.
The way we can move forward is for us to observe the real precautions that goes with the techniques that we are using on farm. Some of these precautions are: one, the timing of application. You don't apply herbicide anyhow or how you feel. No. There are time and conditions that you must meet as stated on the label for you to apply them. That is one. Who is to do that application? You don't give your 13-year-old girl to go and begin to apply pesticide or herbicide on field. We give it to professionals. Those that will profile the farm, they will recommend the appropriate herbicide for particular farm at a particular time. So it's not what we just use indiscriminately. No. We use it based on professional advice. And we must be able to go through the required rudiments before we do the application. Then secondly, when we are applying, we have to take care of the precaution. You don't apply without properly kits. There are kits. You put your overall, nose masks, and all the personal protective equipment that you need to have before you apply. That's one. You have to observe the concentration that you are applying. Then you have to avoid multiple application. You apply one on Monday because you have not seen any changes. Then on Wednesday you are applying another one. That is wrong. There are periods we allow for the one you have applied to really work. There is a peculiar period. Now, another precaution we need to note is that when you apply, there is what we call re-entry period, where you have to leave the farm let the chemical do what they have to do before you come back there for your own health purpose. Now, if all these precautions are not looked at, we won't get the desired results. So that's why it's important for us to read the label of the product we want to apply, for us to be able to ask questions when you look at what you are applying. Anything that is not clear, you ask questions. Then the third one is that you have to observe your re-entry period for your own protection. Now, when you now harvest your produce, be it maize, soya beans, whatever produce you take from the farm, you need to do your due diligence to do the check. Is the residue still there? If you want to confirm, you can just take a sample to the laboratory. There are ways we do the sampling. Then we do the sampling, we check. There are some pesticides that require withholding period. You have to hold the produce in your store before you release it to the public for consumption or for use. So this period, you don't fall into temptation of the price is high now, let me quickly sell. No, if the price is high, you can do your bargaining, let them make payment, but you keep the produce till when the withholding period elapses. Then you release to them. All these precautions must be observed in the interest of public health safety.
Exporters, they need to be informed. When you are informed, then it can be transformed. When you don't have enough information about the country of trade where you are going to, or about the requirements, regulatory requirements, then it can lead to failure. First and foremost, they need to be informed of the pesticides or the herbicides that have been banned in Nigeria, and those that are not allowed in the country of trade. They need to carry agencies like NEPC, like NAFDAC along, so that we can do our due diligence, so that we can guide them concerning the process of harvesting, of storage. We call them GSDP, good storage and distribution practices, good GMP practices, good hygiene practices. And when we analyze this product in the lab, all the product that NAFDAC has analyzed in our lab, and we have issued export certification, none has suffered rejects. When they are well guided about packaging, about storage, even about traceability, we need to be able to trace the product 2 steps backward and 2 steps forward, so that we can have positive trade impact for the nation.
You're still tuned to NAFDAC in your health. Please don't go away.
NAFDAC has observed the dangerous practice of ripening of fruits with carbide, despite persistent NAFDAC campaign against it. To this end, NAFDAC hereby informs the general public to note the following: that calcium carbide is an explosive chemical. It changes the skin color of the fruit whilst the fruit remains raw. Calcium carbide also causes diarrhea, ulcer on the skin, mouth, and throat, burning sensation in the chest and abdomen, neurological system disorder, dizziness, memory loss, low blood pressure, cerebral edema, kidney and liver diseases. NAFDAC therefore advises the general public to desist from the use of these dangerous chemicals, but allow fruits to ripen naturally on the plant. However, if fruits must be ripened artificially, NAFDAC has provided 3 easy and safe ways of ripening fruits. 1. Collect your fruits and put into a paper bag. Seal it and wait for a few days. 2. Apple and banana peels can be added to the fruit to help it ripe faster. 3. Direct exposure to sunlight facilitates ripening of fruits. This message is from the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned.
Having given a detailed explanation on ways through which farmers and exporters can avoid having pesticide residue in their farm produce, it is also important to explain how NAFDAC has simplified the process of testing produce meant for export. It is also important to make known the steps being taken by the agency to help and encourage exporters of farm produce.
that is what NAFDAC is emphasizing now, and we're trying to, through education of the farmers, the exporters, and all other stakeholders in this trade business, in this trade or this business, trying to educate them. If you want to export, you tend to export, come to NAFDAC. We are available in all the states of the Federation. Come to NAFDAC and present your products. We will test this product for you. The test, for now, NAFDAC is bearing the costs of tests. To the extent we don't charge a dime for now. And this is why we do that, is to encourage them to know where they should and what they need to do. And when these products will be tested, we can be able to detect if these residues are still present in the product we want to export. And of course, we are fully aware of the need or of the standard that the country where they want to send this product to, we are fully aware of the standard. So we will compare what the result we get to what they will need there. So products, when it gets there, it will just be accepted. So, and I need to emphasize here that all the rejects that we have recorded so far, none has passed through NAFDAC procedure and is being rejected. So this is why we keep on encouraging the exporters, all the stakeholders, to guide themselves properly, do what is necessary. In fact, NAFDAC had even puts in place export regulation so that you will follow everything that you need to follow in terms of even labeling regulation and everything that is required to have on your product before it will be sent abroad.
We know that they are aggregators. We have had engagements with them where we have meetings and we educate them and enlighten them. We keep doing that. In fact, we have a lot planned in the next few weeks that we're going to do. So this is something that is continuous and constant, because we believe that if they hear the message over and over again, it makes it easier to sink in. And, as I said, we're not doing this alone, because this is an issue that is multifaceted. You have people, as you have said, now the aggregators who deal with the farmers, and the farmers who are the ones who actually do the farming, and because it starts from the practices, it starts from preparing the land, and also we engage with all the other agencies, and when we're doing all of this, to ensure that they get the right information, they get it at the right time, and that they use the right pesticides and the right herbicides. So we work in collaboration, and it is continuous.
As part of efforts to enhance international trade, particularly export, as it concerns products under the control of NAFDAC, the agency created the International Strategic Partnership and Trade Office as a unit of the Office of the agency's Director General.
NAFDAC's mission is to safeguard public health, to promote and protect public health. And people will wonder, what is this issue about trade? Why is NAFDAC talking about trade now? But when you look around, you see that our mandate to regulate and control the manufacture, importation, exportation, sale, distribution, advertisement, and use of the NAFDAC regulated products. Nobody will manufacture these things. Nobody will import these things. Nobody will export these things to keep under his bed or just for his personal use, but for trade purposes. So that's why NAFDAC is trade related also. And for NAFDAC, we have our regulations. Our regulations guide the trade. Well-crafted regulations and guidelines explaining these regulations for the people who require to get engaged in trade to use. So that is one of the things that we are doing. Then the creation of this International Strategic Partnerships and Trade Office is one huge step in NAFDAC promoting trade. Because like I explained earlier, there are the linkages that will be formed, and trade facilitation, investment promotion, and other trade-related issues, which the ISPT office deals with. A major thing challenge we have with stakeholders when it comes to promoting trade is inadequate knowledge. A lot of them do not know what they are supposed to do and are not really interested in knowing what they're supposed to do because these things are already made available to them on the NAFDAC website. But just like the typical Africans that we are, a lot of people, because those things have been hidden in writing, they have been put in writing, it stays hidden to them because they are not ready to go and read and to find out all this. But the NAFDAC website is there. I will encourage everybody who has one form of trade or the other, be it those that want to import, those that want to export, those that want to manufacture, go to the NAFDAC website and read. That is a major challenge that we have with them. There are others such as sharp practices. You know, people want to induce other people to do cut corners for them. Then compliance with regulatory requirements is a huge challenge. And this can stem from the inadequate knowledge that they have.
When it comes to export, we need to first and foremost to know that NAFDAC export processing is one of the functions of NAFDAC, and NAFDAC happens to be the desk office for the alerts received from RAS. RAS is a rapid alert system for food and feeds. The desk office is domiciled in NAFDAC, and so we receive export rejects from EU. And so NAFDAC's involvement in export is critical. And the first thing we need to make our exporters know is that NAFDAC has put in place robust requirements, guidelines, and even policy for exports. They are all available on our websites. So it will be nice for all interested exporters to ensure that they visit the website, get adequate information they need concerning exports, and then start from there. We also want them to know that for each country of trade, there are requirements, there are standards for particular products that they are interested in exporting out. And so they need to also find out the country's requirements, the country's certifications for these exports. So they have to get their products to meet those requirements, those standards, before they can export them. And we also have relevant export certifications. And this is mandatory. It's not just in NAFDAC alone, but you need to first have NAFDAC, your products to be duly registered with NAFDAC to enable you export. You need to have certification with NEPC, NAQS, and the relevant agencies that are involved in trade. These are all critical for exporters to know. And we want the exporters to also know that when it comes to export in NAFDAC, lab services is free for exporters. And so they have to come to the agency and go through the required certifications, required processes so that they can get their products exported.
I would like our exporters, our intending exporters, to know that NAFDAC is operating an open door policy. We have our offices in all the states of the Federation, where you don't need to come to Lagos. The processing of exports is done electronically. You apply electronically. The only thing that is done physically is the inspection, the GHP inspection, the GMP inspection, and of course the laboratory analysis. And of course, your certificate is processed online and you can monitor from the confines of your office. And we are operating an hand-holding policy. We are ready and willing to guide. We are ready and willing to listen to what has been your challenges. And we are ready to come in to help to change the narrative of export rejects of the nation.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the program. Make it a date with us, same time, same station, next week for another informative package. Meanwhile, we will be glad to have your comments, complaints and reports on suspected cases of unwholesome food products, fake drugs and other related issues. We are easily accessible.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Importing, producing, advertising, distributing, or selling of fake food products, drugs, and cosmetics are life-endangering and illegal. Be part of the fight against them so that our nation can be safe. Till I come your way again next week, stay safe.